always sunny down in Mexico. The sun gets high when I get low. The only way to get there is to let yourself go. Good times are made in Mexico.
Mine's off of a real situation with actually one of our team's clients. To summarize it, it says, we absolutely fell in love with X resort before they've decided on where to get married, right? So they're in the planning process and they're looking at resorts, and we're trying to get them answers on pricing, and so they can get a better idea of kind of what this is going to cost them, right? So we absolutely fell in love with X resort, but when we asked for a quote for 90 guests, they came back at between $60,000 to $90,000. The question is, how is that even possible when their base package includes 80 guests and starts at $12,000?
My question is, did they send like a vision board or a mood board or something like that where they came back with that dollar amount? How did they come up with that much money that is like $50,000 plus from their highest wedding package cost?
This is exactly where I went with this. So this is not my personal client, but it's one of our teams. So that was my first question. And I was like, what in the world are we talking about? I said exactly that. How do they know what the couple's plan is? Because obviously it's a wedding, right? You can spend $1 million if you want to at a wedding. Like, so if you send a vision board and you're looking at, wedding setups that, floral alone can cost you 120 grand. It all depends on what you're looking at. So that was my first thought, was did they send some crazy elaborate wedding setup? And that's where we're getting this. But what was frustrating was the answer was no. They didn't send anything. So the resort really just assumed, I guess. I don't know.
Was it an initial email that they were just assuming, being like, hey, this is how much you can expect to pay, without any information from them?
Not the initial inquiry, but it was like, hey, we're interested in this resort. What locations are available? All of that kind of stuff, all the normal stuff. And obviously we're familiar with the wedding packages because we're going to prep the couple on the wedding packages to begin with. But then we get into it, their initial response, without even asking the couple anything about their wedding, their vision, how elaborate they want to go. Their initial response was, yes, typically for weddings of that size, our couple's spending between $60,000 to $90,000.
That's insane.
Right? Like,
that's so insane. And hearing that dollar amount and just editing a BAI Brides Tell All video of a bride that just got married and had a super elaborate, beautiful wedding, she didn't even pay more than $50,000. And that was like a top-notch, bougie wedding, in my opinion.
I kind of went off on this because I was like, what in the world are you doing? The reason probably 90% of our clients choose to do a destination wedding is because it costs them a lot less money than doing a wedding in the state. So if we're just going to tell couples without even knowing what they're looking at, if we're just going to tell couples, hey, you can expect to spend, 5 to 8 times the amount of the wedding package, we're just going to turn them off.
Right. And that's not even a US price. People aren't even paying that much for a local wedding. So why in the world would they go to Mexico and expect to pay that much for a destination wedding?
100%.
That's just unrealistic. After they said that to the couple, what did the couple do?
Well, unfortunately, now they're looking at other resorts. That's where I was frustrated. I had to escalate this because my thought was, well, why would we tell somebody this without them really knowing what they want? But also, we're turning them off to doing a wedding, not only doing a destination wedding at their property, we're turning them off to doing a destination wedding completely. Because the thing is people don't want to feel bait and switched.
Yep.
They want to feel like, hey, this is the package. I'm going to tell you everything that's included, and I can actually expect to spend that. Yep. So if we get them interested in a resort and get them, hey, here's what a package starts at, and then we immediately go to them and say, and once we're talking about the details and booking the resort, then that price just jumped up 8 times.
I posted a TikTok of a wedding cost breakdown of one of my couples at Dreams Pride Mujeres, and they had 89 guests, including the 2 of them, and they did a ton of upgrades, like the Drunken Love Bar, the fairy lights, the dance floor, all of that, and their grand total was like $34,000.
Yeah.
And they did like all the upgrades and above, so $60,000 starter price is like mind-blowing to me.
I'm wondering if there's other things at play, like maybe like it sounds crazy because I know, couples don't really understand this. Most people don't understand. Maybe the resort doesn't want wedding business.
Which that's unfortunate because it's a great resort for weddings.
It is, but maybe that's it, or maybe they're just strategically, maybe they're trying to just be more FIT business, which is independent travelers, or maybe they're trying to be more group business. I don't know. So there may be a strategic answer to this, but it just seems so strange. And the thing is, it's a wedding coordinator I've been working with for years. So
I just did this past winter a small intimate elopement type of wedding there, and I know that everything was smooth sailing and nothing was out of the ordinary for them. So this seems very like something's in there, something's up.
It's not. It seems outside the norm. I tell couples regularly, it's totally fine and normal to do just an elopement. It's totally fine. The beauty of a destination wedding is you can do whatever you want. So you can just do ceremony only, and maybe not even do a full reception, right? Yep. And just do a semi-private dinner.
I've actually had 2 couples do that at this resort.
Oh, really? Yeah. So we do it all the time.
Yeah. I took a screenshot from a big Facebook group. It says, "Hi everyone, I'm recently engaged and truly have no idea where to start on planning with our destination wedding. I've been doing research on research, but for some reason I still feel so lost on the process and when to really begin making decisions and locking in on things. We're hoping for a wedding that's $15,000 or less for 100 people, realistically probably 75-ish. From what Google says, this is possible, but it's still so scary. Does anyone have any personal suggestions on where to start when you haven't even began step 1? Location doesn't matter too much to me, but I definitely want to go for an all-inclusive to somewhat soften the blow for asking everyone to travel for us. Thank you all so much in advance."
I think the budget is absolutely within reason. I think you can absolutely do it for that much. That's not a problem. The process is extremely overwhelming. There's a ton of resorts to choose from. They all look the same on paper. They all look the same in photos. So unless you actually know people that have been, but here's the problem with knowing people who have been as well, is that you're going off of their expectations. So if you ask other like brides, hey, who else got married here? Well, their experience was great because that's the only place they've ever been. So you're looking at what is their experience. So again, I mean, I know we're biased, but obviously this is what we do every day. We go to resorts all the time. I read a stat recently. It said 48% of couples saying there's a noticeable gap between what they see online. What I read that is what the resort actually offers as well. There's a gap between visually what you see online and what AI describes a resort as, or even what other guests describes a resort as, because it's based off of their experience. And that's why programs like Preview Your ID are so worth it.
Yeah, very much worth it. And honestly, the last one at the Fives, that's pretty much what every couple said, but almost like in a vice versa way. They were like, the resort photos did not do this resort justice. They were blown away by how beautiful and lush and jungle vibes the Fives was, because it really is portrayed, I guess, as well on the website. But reading this question, my brain thought to go to a conversation of talking about resorts and brands that have not only good wedding packages, but good room block incentives too. Because if your main priority is doing a $15,000 wedding with that many guests, looking at those 2 things is probably going to be your biggest deciding factor on which resort to go with.
When I'm talking with a couple, there's so many variables that you need to consider when you're planning a destination wedding. And when I'm talking with a couple, I don't want to be like telling them, hey, this is what you have to do,
right,
or like, this is your biggest priority. Every couple is different. So some couples, their biggest priority is budget, and to other couples, it's not budget. It might be the wedding location, right? Or it might be the food at the resort. But if your biggest priority is sticking within budget, yes, it is extremely important that you choose a resort that's going to have the most bang for your buck and give you wedding incentive in addition to the room block incentive.
Do we want to talk about the brands and resorts with good incentives? My maybe a top 2. First one would probably be El Dorado, because they offer so much through the room block. And what is it, like $20 for a welcome event, $40 for a whatever event and stuff like that. And then their package prices itself is very good. And then my other thought was a AIC brand of Unico or Hard Rock, depending on if they're looking at adult only or family friendly. But the only thing with that, their complimentary package only goes up to 32 guests. So that's where I'm hesitant on that one. They're gonna have to pay a lot more per additional person, so it kind of depends on that.
I was actually on a meeting with an El Dorado bride, and it's funny you said it's $20 per person for the welcome party event and then $40 per person for the wedding reception event as well. We were looking at the menus, and we're looking at the menu options, whatnot, and it had pricing according to each one. And it was like, $54, $60 per person on the pricing on the banquet. If you do the room block and you get those incentives and you hit that mark where you get $40 per person off, that's $40 per person that literally comes off of that $54 price. So when brides look at that and they can be overwhelmed with like thinking, oh man, it's $54 per person, but they don't take into consideration that incentive that they're going to get.
Right. So it comes down to like $14 per person.
That's way
Yeah.
different. So.
Yeah, and speaking of El Dorado, that was a BAI Brides Tell All interview where she shared the price too, and I think she had like 40 to 50 guests, and I think she spent $10,000 total. So
totally doable there.
Yeah.
Totally doable there. Did you mention another resort? Because I was reading the comment.
AIC, Hard Rock, Unico with their complimentary package. But I said like the only thing with that one is that it's up to 32 guests. If they're looking at 100 people, they're paying a lot per additional person.
And it varies with each one, but the packages at Unico, the incentives are for your total number of guests that are in your room block. The decor packages have the pricing based off of that. But if you keep things simple and go with their lower end decor package on what's included, your cost is very minimal. But you're right. But AIC, the Hard Rocks, the Unicos of the world, those are offering great bang for your buck right now. I think the Fives Beach Resort offers a great bang for your buck as well with their incentives. Palace Resorts is doing great incentives.
Even with this budget, she could do a Dreams or Secrets resort with a Beyond Memorable, because that's starting at $12,000. You would just have to keep it super basic if you were to do it then, because that would include all of her people too.
That's where we get lost with the additional pricing, is in the extras and the add-on. I can't tell you how many times we always get the question. It's like, well, are chairs included with the pack? Yes, chairs are included. Yes. Or was the bar included? Yes, the bar is included in the pack. Is the food included? Yeah, all of these things are included. But here's the thing is, with the Beyond Member I'm talking about. But it's going to be a very basic setup. It's going to be white bone chairs, okay? And if you're in the events industry, you know what bone chairs are, right? So they're going to be very basic white chairs, okay? They're going to be white tablecloths, very simple place settings, and white napkins. And
honestly, that looks great in paradise. So go for it. Actually, that was another topic that I wanted to do today, was talking about the open bars in the US versus destination weddings and how different it is.
I was a wedding photographer for years, and all throughout the Baltimore, DC area, there was a ton of wedding venues that I went to that absolutely had a no-shot policy. The way I take it, if you're paying for things, give me what I want. When I started shooting destination weddings, I would see the waiters and waitresses, they don't only just sit by the bar and wait for the people to come up and get their drinks. No, their plan is they don't want you to get up at all.
Yeah.
They're going to monitor that drink, and they're going to make sure it's refilled.
Yeah.
And even while you're on the dance floor.
Mm-hmm. And they're fun with it too. It's not like they're just standing around with a straight face. I feel like they're really good at engaging with the wedding guests.
I've never seen that happen in the US. Not only that, I would see unprompted, I would see a waiter go to the bar and start getting shots ready, and then also go to the DJ. And the waiter would coordinate and have the shot song playing, perfect timing, where he would come out of the dance floor with a tray.
Do you know how fun that is?
I've never seen that happen at a local wedding.
Me either. Another extra add-on to destination weddings that make it so much more fun, because you really can do whatever you want with it.
I've also seen waiters pop bottles of champagne and just spray the whole
That's fun. One of my favorite things for destination weddings is the take a shot, take a seat. Such a small thing, but it's so cute, and you can't even do that locally.
When I'm attending a wedding and I see beer and wine only at the bar, let's just say it's not a fun wedding. They're just quiet and low key. From the photographer's standpoint, it's just going to not be a fun crowd. I know immediately as soon as I see that. Whereas if it's an open bar, it's going to be a fun crowd.
Just another reason to have a destination wedding.
Yeah, you're never going to have to worry about that if you have a destination wedding. At least at an all-inclusive resort.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about driving home. The cherry on top of it all, you just go walk to your bed and fall asleep. Well, probably order room service and then go to sleep. So.
The biggest tip that I've got for that as well is there's so many places that are now going to apps as well. So if you can order room service on the app, order it at least a half hour before you're
Yep.
actually going back to your room. That is perfect timing. It's actually be there when you get there.
Mhm.
That's the way to go.
Sunny down in Mexico, the sun gets high